Hello everyone. So in this video I'll be discussing about states in React, and in our earlier videos we had already covered components and props. Also we had seen arrow functions, right? So in this video we'll be discussing states, but before going through examples, let us go through the definition. And these are not official definition, by the way, but it will help you to get through, right? So we had already covered this props, right? And in my earlier videos, if you have seen my earlier videos, you'll know what and how props work. So props are used to pass data from one component to another, but states are different than props. How? Because states are used within a component only, okay, and it cannot be used and it cannot be passed to other components. States cannot be passed to other components. Unlike props, states are not passed to other components. Okay, it is limited to it's limited within a component only. Okay, and it represents the information about any component's current situation. Okay, so if a value within a component changes, it will make the changes for that component. Okay, so I'll not go by definition that much. I'll straight away move to examples so that you can relate to what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this was the example that we used to understand how props works, right, and how event handling occurs. So here if we run this example, let's say let's start the server. Let's say npm start, and yeah, this was the output of the last example. What it gave us, that it would give us some alert message if we click on this button. See, so for every button, if we click, we have an alert message saying hello players, right? So this was the earlier example, but in this video we'll be discussing states, and what we want here to do is that we want to reset the score. Okay, we want to reset the scores of our players. So if I click on this button, the scores should be reset to 0. So that's our objective for this video. Okay, and we'll do this using states. We'll maintain the state of this, like we'll update the state of this particular component. Okay, by state we mean we'll update the value of this particular component using states. Okay, so for that, let's go and let's go to our editor, and let's rename this button as reset score. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, if I go here, refresh the page, if I see this reset score button is there, if I click here, it will reset the score to 0 for John. Okay, and if I click here, it will reset the score to 0 for David, and so on for Peter and other players. So now if I have to implement states, I have to import React from the React library. Okay, and along with it I have to import a function. It's called use state. Okay, this is a function, or you can say this is a hook. Okay, it is called a hook, or you can think of it as a function. And what is hook we will be discussing in future videos, but as of now you can just remember it as a function. And okay, let's use this. So how you will use this is, this function will be using this function here to get a to have a default value. This function will have a default value, and let's say we write hello here. So hello is the default value for this function. Okay, and if we don't write anything, if we have a blank, so this means that we have a blank value for this useState function. So now if we want to pass the p score, the player scores, as value, as a default value, so the player scores will be the default value for this function. So how we will put this is with the help of props dot p score, right? So now we have the player scores as the default value for this useState function, which is a hook. Now as this is a function, it will return some value, right? It will return an array here. So let us use a const and let us put an array, and this array will contain two elements. One is the variable which will contain this player score, and other is a function. Okay, so let's say I'll name it p score, which means this will contain whatever data is there inside the p score props.p score. Whatever data this props.p score is having currently, it will keep it in p score variable. So this p score we can write here as, we can write directly as p score, and also we have a function, let's say set, let's say reset score. Okay, so this is a function. Now don't get confused, this is the variable which contains the current value that is passed. Okay, and this is a function which will reset the score to 0. Okay, so this reset score function, if we use it in our click button inside our click function, so let's say reset score, and if we put a value 0 against it. Okay, so what it basically means that if this button is if in this button, if we click this button, this on click event will be triggered, and this on click event will eventually call this click button function, and this click button function, when it is called, it will call this reset score function. So this reset score function is defined here as an array. Okay, as a return value, it is used by the useState function. Okay, so if we look at our output, it gives us something like this. See, when we reset the score, it resets to 0. Let's say I want to reset the score of Peter from 80. I want to reset it, check, it's 0, right? So I want to reset the score of David, it's 0. So we have successfully reset the scores of the players. So that way you can update the values for each component, right? And also just keep in mind that we need not write this useState function for every component repeatedly, right? If we just need to write it once, and it will work for all the components that are inside it. Like this player will have its own state, and this player will have its own state without affecting. Like what I'm trying to say is, when we click in this button, this will affect only the state of this particular player. Okay, this state only changes, the other states are maintained as it is, right? So if we click here, it will only change the value of this particular component, right? So that way you can implement states in your application. So this is a very basic level example, and in our future videos we'll be dealing with more complex examples. So in order for a beginner, these examples make sense. So this is why I have given this short and short and to the point example. So if you have any query regarding this video, and if you want me to improve on these examples, you can comment in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.